Now, onto Archie and Lilibet, and we don't see very much of them, and that's totally fine. They're very little, and that's their parents' decision. Absolutely no criticism from me. However, Meghan may have slipped that the kids might be making their public debut soon. What's going on?
Yeah, so we've heard reports from a board member for the Invictus Games that the children could actually make an appearance next at the 2025 Invictus Games. Apparently, Meghan is very keen to teach her kids how to ski, which is a bit of a niche hobby. And she has been ruminating over the potential of getting them involved in the Invictus Games in 2025 and teaching them how to ski then, which would effectively be their first public engagement. Now, what I do find strange is the fact that Harry and Meghan insisted on giving their children titles to the royal family, even though they're both estranged from the institution and they have made very vocal criticisms of the institution. Why would you insist on giving your children the titles if you don't even want to exist in it? I found that very strange and quite opportunistic. But I'm sure in typical Sussex fashion, they will find the best moment to reveal their children to the public and obviously curate their image alongside them. I've often said, and I still maintain, that the biggest losers in this whole saga has been the children. They don't really know an entire half of their family. Meghan doesn't really have much family to speak of other than her mother. And so they're the ones that are being isolated and effectively losing out on this sort of this feud between the Sussexes and the royal family. But nonetheless, I do believe that their parents will find the opportune moment to expose them to the public that will, I suppose, benefit them and their brand as well.
Now, I've always considered the post-divorce arrangement between Fergie and Prince Andrew to be more than a little odd, but apparently it suits them both very well. I'm almost too scared to ask, but how and why is this arrangement so good for them?
The arrangement is so good for them because they've remained friends basically for the entirety of their lives. I mean, they've known each other since they were children. They started dating when they were sat together at Royal Ascot more than 30 years ago. And when they did get married initially, you know, Prince Andrew's naval career actually kept him away from home for much of the year. You know, Fergie said that for her first year of marriage, she only saw her husband for 40 days out of 365 days. So it was really, you know, the separation was quite taxing on the marriage. And she's maintained that they've always been good friends ever since. They raised their children together and they both reside at the same residence, Royal Lodge in Windsor, and somehow they've just made it work. I mean, you know, Fergie has been a bit more vocal about the nature of their relationship and how obviously the pressures of the institution actually did keep them apart. Back in 2010, she did mention, make some murmurings about their reconciliation, but that never actually came to fruition. But she did say that, you know, if she could go back, she would have been more adamant for them to be married in the way that they wanted to be married, as opposed to in a way that suited the needs of the royal family as an institution, which is perfectly fair. You know, there have always been rumours in British media and British tabloids that they could get back together, or they're so close, it's strange, but she's always maintained that they're the happiest divorced couple in the world, and I'm tempted to agree, because I don't think I would be as amiable to my husband if I ever got divorced.
Now, it's reported this week that Prince George could actually receive a new name as king. Why is this, and is that likely to happen?
So it is unlikely to happen, but it's due to a long-standing tradition of sort of British monarchs taking on a different name, which is known as their regnal name, when they actually ascend the throne. It is a tradition that was effectively stopped by Queen Elizabeth, who didn't see the need to sort of create a fuss or further complicate matters by choosing an entirely different name. Obviously, the British royal family has become more open to the public over the last couple of centuries, really. And so you want to keep that name recognition and familiarity with the public. I think it would be a bit odd if Prince George actually chose to change his name. I mean, one of the options he could change his regnal name to would be Louis, which is his brother, which would be weird. Because most of the public wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But the reality is it's a tradition that, you know, while long-standing, has effectively ceased to exist since the late Queen Elizabeth. So I don't think that's something that's going to materialize in the future. But it is an option, and it's, you know, it's a good piece of royal history.